Hi, this is Holly, and welcome to my fall series. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I'd love it if you click that button. DIY number 1. For this craft, you're going to need some paper towel rolls, some Dollar Tree wooden beads, some wire, some cardboard, some nautical rope, a mop or two of your choice, and I'm going to show you here how you get the mop apart up close and personal. You really kind of you got to work it there a little bit, but it does come apart, and you only need one side to come apart, and then you can pull it out. And I'm using 2 mops. And then you're going to take your paper towel roll or toilet roll and trace little circles on the cardboard. And you're going to need 3 different sizes. So I chose small, medium, and large. I'm cutting them right here. And you're going to need a top and a bottom if you want. I ended up skipping the bottom and I regretted it. I just put a top on it. I think they're more sturdy and stronger if you do the bottom, so I recommend that you do what I'm doing right here on the bottom as well. And then you're going to start wrapping up your rolls. So the tiniest little one I do first with the nautical rope, because per foot this is more expensive, the nautical rope. And you know, that was just my choice to do that. And here's a mop I found at the Dollar Tree that I have seen other creators using, and I've never been able to find it, so I was so excited. It is super soft in real life. There are so many DIYs you could do with this, and it's got a really pretty natural gray and white, thread combination. Perfect for boho crafts. So I take that. I think I'm doing the largest one with that one because that has 45 feet in the roll approximately when you undo it. And then here's the mop head, just regular old mop. I usually get mops that are attached to the pole. I got really lucky at this Dollar Tree because I found mop heads that were actually not attached to the pole. And that mop head that is not attached to the pole is a much stronger mop thread. In previous videos I talked about it breaking, and not the case with this one. You can tug pretty hard. It's a little bit wider and brighter. I like it a lot better. The other one's nice too, but if you have a choice between the two, go for the mop head that's separate from the pole. And here I'm just taking some Dollar Tree twine and I'm tying them together and wrapping it up. And then for this one I need the color contrast, so I use white yarn and I'm wrapping it up. And for the larger ones, I'm just going to wrap it up in some Dollar Tree twine as well. You're wrapping them up to hold them together, but also for decorative purposes as well. And I decided to do boho theme fall because if we're honest, you guys, and you look around, if you're into boho or you have a friend that is, there's not a whole lot of blogs or videos that show how to do holiday decor and seasonal decor in the boho theme. So for them it's really challenging because if you bring in too many things that don't have that feel, it kind of will corrupt the energy that you've got going. I mean, everybody has like a decor style, and so anyway, I just thought it would be nice to help them out a little bit. I did it with an Easter video as well. Just give them some inspiration and some ideas for what kind of decor they can use and still be very festive for the fall / holiday season. So I'm painting my wooden beads from the Dollar Tree in fall colors. You can use whatever colors you want. I chose orange, a warm cinnamon brown, and gray, and a warm golden, like mustard yellow. Now I did gray in honor of my husband because he comes from England, and for him, autumn, they don't call it fall, they call it autumn, welcomes in the wet, gray, dreary, overcast time of the year. They lose their summer basically. So that's his cozy feelings. It starts getting gray and wet again around autumn. So I put in gray in there just so he will feel cozy as well. And then speaking of the mop heads that are on poles, these are the plastic pieces that came with that mop head. Now I think they won't work with the other plastic head on the mop that comes separate. I'm not sure, but I looked at these. I've been holding on to them because I knew they'd be perfect for a DIY, but I couldn't figure out what. I mean, they can be a top even of if you make a homemade lantern, they're just perfect little tops. But I looked at them, I thought, oh my goodness, You little guys are definitely pumpkin stems. I am using you for a pumpkin stem. They are so perfect for that. So I'm just dry brushing it with my homemade Holly Humble chalk paint. If you're interested in how to make that, I do have a video link at the end of this video, as well as down in my description box. But I'm dry brushing it with a little bit of white paint, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some burnt umber from Apple Barrel and dry brush it with that, just so that it looks more like a pumpkin stem. And then last but not least, we're going to shove some of that Dollar Tree hula skirt up at the top there. You can use raffia as well, so that it looks like a really rustic, cute little pumpkin stem. Now, I want the beads I painted on the twine that is hanging off of these little pumpkins. And the way that I work it out so that it works, because I couldn't get it on otherwise it kept splitting, is I take my upholstery needle and I wrap it in the masking tape, and that works perfect. I just thread them up there, and then I put a little dot of glue at the bottom, as you saw me do, and that holds them on. And here I'm making a beaded garland, which I actually don't end up using for this DIY. I use it for the next DIY, but I make it in this DIY with those beads. And I find some leaves, you guys, and I decide they're a little too bright for the boho look, so I distress them a little bit with the white chalk paint and make them look, a little softer. And I glue them on the front, and I'm just gluing different embellishments of berries and leaves and just really pretty things. And here they are, you guys. Look at how striking they came out. They are so perfect for the boho home if you want to have a festive look and you still want it to go with your boho theme. DIY number 2. For this DIY, you're going to need a printout. You can choose any fall, themed printout that you want, a meme, a picture of yourself. I just really liked the saying on this, that yellow, mellow, ripened days, because I'm going for a boho video here, so that just kind of goes with that whole energy. And I also liked that it wasn't a super dark black and the words weren't super bright white. Everything's just kind of mellow. They've got more like gray words, I guess. And I'm just using a piece of cardboard and some Mod Podge, and I'm modging it down. I'm Mod Podging it down, and I have to wait for that to dry. And while it's drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut strips of cardboard. Now, I did this DIY because I've had a lot of people ask me to show more DIYs using the Amazon boxes, because everybody's ordering more stuff because they're not going out as often. And I guess everyone's getting bogged down with boxes and they have no idea what to do with these boxes, and they don't want to just throw them in the recyclable. I get it, because the recyclable gets too full and we still use, energy. I think it's still not totally good, the recycling process. So if you can use them, it's a tree and they're perfect. It's wood, it's compressed, but I mean, if you're clever with it, you can make it work really wonderful for crafts in your home, and you can make them look really expensive. So for this DIY, what we're doing is we're using the different ropes to cover the cardboard. We're using the nautical rope, we're going to be using the sisal rope, and we're using the mop rope to cover this cardboard. And we're going to start doing it unevenly on purpose so that there's no symmetry, and that's to keep in line with the rustic look in case you want to use this frame in your farmhouse decor. But the ropes, obviously, they're perfect for boho. So this is one of those crafts, it can go either way, and it also is very dependent on what you choose to put in your frame, what photo. I mean, you easily could replace that photo with a farmhouse photo and boom, you've got farmhouse. And you can even do a mix where you do farmhouse boho. You'd have to be creative on what photo you chose. And also, you guys, you can make this DIY go more boho. You can always tie some beads hanging off the corner, glue some tassels on. It depends, again, what your theme is and what you're going for, but it's definitely a crossover craft, which is a lot of fun. And the object of the game here is, ladies and gentlemen, you gotta cover all the cardboard. That's what makes it look expensive. So you can see me going on the inner frame here to cover the cardboard, and then you'll see me in a minute go on the outer edge to cover the outer edge as well. And when I'm done with this, it is actually very heavy and feels really good quality. So we're going to start by cutting some more cardboard to make a nice little back for this DIY so it looks nice and finished. And of course it adds more weight and that makes it feel more expensive. And it helps it stand better because in a minute we're also going to be making a stand. So when the photo's nice and heavy and weighted, you know, W-E-I-G-H-T-E-D, weighted down, it's going to stand much nicer and more secure as well. And here I'm taking that strand of beads that I did not end up tying around those pumpkins, and I decide they are a perfect accent for this frame. I mean, that really just set it off. And again, this can be Farmhouse. So here I'm just showing you how I took the other piece of cardboard and I'm bending it, and I'm going to glue it on the back there to create the stand, and then I'm going to glue another little piece to the bottom of that to separate it from the back frame so that it stands up on its own, and it ends up working brilliantly. Now the only recommendation I would have for this craft is when I glued the photo down and the Mod Podge dried, I had those little lines from the cardboard in there, which if you don't like it, just glue yours on top of poster board first and then down on top of the cardboard. It didn't bother me because quite frankly it made it look more rustic, and it went with the frame because the frame is a bunch of little lines. So the whole thing in real life is actually very striking and really, really pretty, and I'm really pleased with how it came out. This came out really nice. From the side you can't tell it's cardboard. It's super heavy, 10 inches by 10 inches, and it really is the frame that's a DIY, you guys, because you can put any picture you want in it, but it's rugged, rustic, farmhouse boho or regular boho, really pretty fall craft. DIY number 3. For this craft, you're going to need one of these Dollar Tree pumpkin frames, and we're going to be cutting out the middle of this frame. Once you have it cut out, you're going to be needing some kind of rope. Now I'm choosing this gray and white mop to wrap mine with, and the white mop. You can use the sisal rope, or you can use the nautical rope or the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. All of those would work. And again, it depends on what theme you're going for, whether you're going for farmhouse, farmhouse boho, or just straight up boho. I'm focusing on straight up boho, and I think out of all those choices, the ropes I'm picking are probably the best one for that theme. Maybe the nautical rope would have worked. That one would work too, I think, but I was worried it might make it look a little too rustic farmhouse. But anyway, so you're just wrapping up the frame with this mop thread, and you're going to take the other mop and you're going to make a cute little stem out of it. Just cut it in little pieces here and glue it in separate pieces side by side, like you would kind of be doing like shiplap. You can see me doing it here. Definitely don't loop it back and forth. You want those jagged ends on the top and the bottom because that adds to the illusion of it being a stem, and it just makes it look super, super cute. So after you're done, you've got your little stem there. And then I designed this craft with the idea that it would take the place of the macrame wall hangings that we see so much at boho homes. But this one's going to obviously have the cute theme of fall or Halloween or whatever you want, but still keep the energy of the boho decor. So you're going to be taking 3 strands of the white mop thread, and you're going to be gluing them on either side, as you see me doing there. Once your strands have dried, you're going to start braiding them gently on both sides. So you're going to braid it like you see me doing there, and then you're going to braid the other one on the other side as well. Now I went ahead and cut them and glued them. If you want it to be more boho, you can leave a fringe at the bottom. You can hang some tassels off of it, but ultimately I decide it needs a middle center as well. So I glue another 3 strands down, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to braid it down the center, and I'm going to cut it and then glue it at the bottom. And that's what you're left with. And here I'm showing you some acorn heads that are together, and I saved a couple of those because I thought they would make such awesome embellishment for fall, and definitely for any kind of rustic type thing or a natural type thing where you're trying to get back to nature, which is very boho. So for Farmhouse it's rustic, for boho it's just nature, and I loved the way that looked. And I did a really simple embellishment on this on purpose. I just wanted to keep it nice and clean and classy. So I do 2 fall leaves, some acorn heads, and I'm showing you here that those little yarn threads, they come apart. You can pull them apart, and there's little mini strands, and I'm going to use that to make 1 tassel, because I just want that tassel in there. You gotta have the tassel if it's boho. And at first I tie it, and I kind of experiment a little bit with it dangling off of the pumpkin somehow, but it just doesn't look right. It looks weird. So I end up cutting that rope off at the top. You'll see that. And then I end up gluing it on the top and kind of holding the top together where I'm squishing it. So, it keeps its shape and form. You can see me, I'm pinching it right there. I don't know if you can see, but I'm pinching. And that's what we end up having. Look how cute that is. I just think the tassel looks so much better like that. And here it is for you all to see. I think it came out absolutely gorgeous. It is the perfect fall boho craft. This week's shout out goes to Lucia Zuniga. This sweet little gal sent me 5 Dollar Tree Farmhouse calendars, and she did it for free. I can't thank her enough. So she has made 5 people very happy, because I'm now going to be doing a drawing for those 5 calendars. And if you want to be entered into that drawing, make sure you leave the word calendar in capital letters in your comment down below, and you will be entered into that drawing, and I will announce the winners next week and get your address information. Now, there are a few more people sending me some calendars, and I will announce them as I get them, but thank you so much, Lucia. DIY number 4. This next craft is such a fun DIY, you guys, for fall, because it's a great way to get rid of your beaten up pumpkins that you don't know what to do with, but you don't want to, throw them away. It's a great way to recycle them, and this craft is also a great crossover craft. It can be Farmhouse or it can be boho. Now I start with the sisal rope, and I showed you there with an arrow how I'm just gluing the sisal rope down into the grooves there of the pumpkin, because I want those grooves to be brown, and I want it to have that dimension so it looks like a real pumpkin. It ends up coming up so cute, you guys. And after I'm done gluing it down in the ridge, I'm going to go ahead and take the mop string, here I go, and I'm going to start gluing those down side by side to cover the orange. Now, here's my recommendation, and you don't have to do it this way, but I've seen both ways, and I think this way looks nicer. I recommend that you start gluing the mop string, and then you cut it at the bottom, and you start a new strand with each new row, because that way you don't have any loops and you don't have any seams in your covered pumpkin, and it just ends up looking a lot more finished and a lot more neat. And it kind of keeps those little grooves in there that pumpkins have, or the illusion of those little grooves, but it ends up looking so cute. And when you're gluing it there, if you see that it's separating, just pinch together as necessary. You can see me pinching it there to make sure that you're covering up all of the pumpkin underneath. And I don't even think I need to tell you what the object of this is. I mean, you're covering your pumpkin, but it comes up looking so high-end and so pretty. I'm Farmhouse decor in my home, and this is staying with me. That's all I can say. My daughter won't like that, but it's staying with me. Anyway, so that's what you're doing. You're just gluing it all together. Be careful not to glue or burn your fingers. And at the bottom, I also recommend you cut your strands at an angle, because it helps keep them super flat, and it helps maintain the shape of the pumpkin as well. I decide to use a cinnamon stick for the stem here. Now, when I go to cut the cinnamon stick, it crumbles, and I think a lot of you probably have encountered this, and it's frustrating. I even tried twice, but Here's the trick, and I'll show you, because you can still use a crumbled cinnamon stick, so don't give up. You just take those little pieces. In fact, in some ways it looks kind of better because it's very rugged. You just take those little pieces and you're going to glue them all together with a bit inside. You know, you first put a lot of glue, and you saw me there grab that little cinnamon stick and scoop up the dripping hot glue. And you're just going to put little globs of hot glue, and you're going to glue the little individual sticks down until you get one whole stem. And then I'll show you the trick you do here in a minute on how you keep those all together so it's nice and sturdy. There it is, ladies and gents. You just squirt some hot glue down the center, and then that stem is on there for good, and it's just as sturdy as a cinnamon stick that didn't break to begin with, and it makes an absolutely beautiful stem on a faux pumpkin. Plus you get that pretty smell of cinnamon, which is, you know, very seasonal too. I love that. And since we're going boho here, now I'm Farmhouse, but I still love the tassels. I'm adding on some nice cinnamon colored yarn. I made a tassel out of that color because I thought that looked so pretty. And I'm adding some little twine tassels and twine bow. And, you know, you can do whatever embellishments you want. This is just a look I'm going for, and I just think it came out so, so cute. And there she is, everyone. I love this DIY. It goes with boho, it goes with Farmhouse. I think it looks extremely high-end and expensive looking. It's just a super pretty little pumpkin. DIY number 5. For this craft, you're going to need the Dollar Tree Be Brave calendar, some mop thread, 3D wreath form, some more mop thread, and a stove cover, which you will spray paint black. So first you're going to find this moon image in that calendar, and you're going to cut it out. And we're only after the moon. We're not after any other part of the calendar page. And what you see me pointing out here is a little piece you're going to need to cut out so we can glue it where that hole is, so the hole's not so evident when you use it as your little decor piece here. And I'm just going to cut that out in a circle. And we're taking our black painted stovetop cover. We're going to be putting the moon in the middle, and we're going to be Mod Podging that down onto the surface of the stove cover, like you see me doing here. And now I'm just gently placing that cutout that I did in that little hole. I'm going to push that edge down there, don't worry. I'm focusing on the whole part, it's more important. And that does it. I mean, that makes it so it's not noticeable. It just looks like another little drawing part of the moon. And then I'm going to now put the Mod Podge over the entire image. While that's drying, you're going to be taking your little wreath forms, and you're going to be cutting off any protruding metal pieces that's on there. So I'm showing you the ones that you might want to be concerned about there. But after all that, I only end up using one ring for this DIY, which is fine because I have other DIYs planned for those rings. And here I just made a printable of Harvest Moon. Oh my gosh, you guys, when I had this idea, I was so excited. This is so boho fall, and it just came out beautiful. Now that printable will be available down below in my description box. You can go ahead and click the link and it will take you to that printable and you can print it up. But here I'm taking chalk, just coloring the back of it here. That's how I'm going to transfer it onto the black surface, and chalk works great for that. And I did end up cutting it because I needed it at more of a curve around the moon than I could get on my Word program. I mean, it was curving a little bit, but I wanted it more when I ended up laying it down. So feel free to cut it in half too if you need to make it curve more. It's totally up to you and what look you're going for. And I'm taking a really sharp pencil here, just tracing the words out, and there you have it. You have a transfer. Now I'm using my chalk pen and I'm just going over the words. And I decide that it's not bright enough white. I really want it to glow because the moon is kind of glowing. So I do end up going over the words with white paint as well. And that's how it comes out. And the next step is to glue something around the stovetop cover there. It can be any kind of rope you want. I'm choosing this because it's the moon and I just thought the gray and white really went. And a lot of my boho decor in this vid is gray and white, so it's going to be a nice theme and it matches. But before I do the next step here, you guys, I decide the edges of the letters aren't clean enough, so I go ahead and I trace them with a black Sharpie. You don't have to do that. I'm just really picky. Now here you're going to take your rope and glue it in the center, and then you're going to loop it under that ring, glue it in the center again, and you're going to keep doing that all the way around. You can see me looping it through, and then I'm going to pull it up and glue it again. And it's going to look something like that. And then you're going to end up with it like that, where it holds that in, and we have that nice celestial Saturn ring, which is perfect for the Harvest Moon DIY. So here we're using our other mop, and I'm going to show you again how to get it out this time. This one's a little bit different than the mop on the pole. So it's the same principle. You just take some strong cutters like that, and you just keep pulling and cutting, and then it will snap off. And you just need to get one side open and you twist it sideways, and then you can pull all those little yarn threads out. And so anyway, that's how you do that. And here's where we're going to get into the boho look. Now you're just putting your thread on and pushing it through the loop like you see me do here, and I'm going really slow here so you guys can see what I'm doing. Loop it, make it even at the ends, lay it down like that, push it underneath your hoop, and then push your 2 threads at the bottom through the top there. You're going to see me do it right like that. And that's a beautiful way to get it to hold on. And we're going to be doing that all the way around the bottom edge, which adds an absolutely beautiful and stunning boho accent. Here she is, you guys, absolutely beautiful. She came out exactly the way I was envisioning in my head 5 weeks ago. It is the perfect, stunning fall boho decor. It ties in the fall and autumn season beautifully without losing the energy of boho. I hope you boho fans get a chance to make this. It was so much fun. And if you enjoyed this video today, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. It really does help YouTube notice my channel. And of course, until the next video, breathe deep, fret not, and do things that make you happy.